Hi guys, welcome to another video. I'm going to be commentating a 28-minute dolo that I did a few weeks ago. In the foreseeable future, I don't see myself doing dolos anytime soon. Didn't don't quite find them as enjoyable these days. I may come back to them though, may even come back to them soon, but I want to be working on a few guides currently. So. Let me just commentate this 28 minute dolo. This is my PB right now. I thought I'd put this out there. That way I can refer to it as a video, as what I believe to be the best dolo time that I know of. But yeah, so Maiden, pretty straightforward. I send a hammer and two Ralos just like a normal duo. You can see my setups from here. Pretty conservative duo setup where I have lots and lots of supplies on both accounts. I do rank Rancor on both accounts, and Camping Blood Fury on the mage account. Uh, and when it's below 100, and then at this point I couldn't afford a T-bow on both accounts, so I just had an Adelatl on the mage account. Um, Pretty bad spawns, honestly, but also pretty bad gameplay. Barraging Maiden, but Maiden's kind of a shit show, honestly. I usually get around a 230, 240 even. It's just pretty hard to dodge blood on both accounts and uh, Debo flick and not get drained and switch gear and click the crabs as they spawn. So all around pretty bad gameplay, but uh, let's just you just sort of get through it. Um, this Dolo gameplay, I do want to talk a little bit about it, so you can see I'm not tanking on the range. Um, so basically, with the Dolo gameplay, the whole idea behind this is I believe myself like good enough at Taub that I can essentially fully play both accounts at the same time. Um, because I actually thought about this a little bit. If you imagine a world where the ticks were twice as fast, so instead of zero point 0.6 seconds, every tick took 0.3 seconds. That's effectively what happens in these dolos because I have to be clicking twice as fast since there's two accounts. Uh, I do get pretty lucky 30 spawn there, and that's why this is actually still a pretty decent maiden for me. But yeah, so effectively, it's as if I'm playing the game twice as fast, where a duo with another player would only take 10 minutes instead of 20, because every single tick is happening twice as fast. But anyways, I had like sort of a thought to myself like, if the ticks were at point 0.3, could I still do some of this like high level gameplay, like windmilling, p-necking, and Nylo waves and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm obviously not p-necking here. I may actually get into that. Dolo bloat resetting could actually be very fun for me, where I just take in a full inventory next and just go for bloat. Try to get the duo bloat wreck on less than 56 seconds, but just by myself, without any other players, just me and my ult. I think that would actually be a lot of fun, but anyways, I thought to myself like, could I play like that? And conclusion was yes. That basically, I was like, okay, well, let's put it to the test. And so here I am. Basically, I say this to differentiate because other players have Dola Taub give specific examples. I've seen both No Monkey and Krisky's Dola Taub, and a lot of the strategies they employ in those videos I don't employ. For example, you have strategies like following your main on bloat, and then you just sort of like move in a specific way where you're dodging hands on both accounts. Um, that honestly, might be better than what I do, but I don't like doing that because I want to just sort of fully play both accounts, and you'll see when I get to Xarpus and Verzik, other players doloing will opt to, instead of like both accounts scything Verzik or both accounts scything Xarpus, they'll have one account shadowing and one account scything, and you might still think, oh, what I'm doing with the getting bounced and stuff, or whatever. If I had, max mage on one account and stuff, I have higher DPS. But if you look at the VODs, it comes down to it. I have been able to get the fastest times so far, and I'm happy to see other people try to get faster than me. I think if anyone thinks they have like a better strategy that is gonna result in better times, I'd really love to see it and love to see the gameplay, even if they might be what I consider to be cheese strategies with following and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Maiden and Blow are pretty straightforward. Um, you just sort of do the rooms normally. Nylo's gets really, really hard because you pretty much, especially the way I'm like trying to fully play both accounts, you pretty much have to constantly be clicking new crabs, constantly be trying to get the aggros and the bigs. And so because of that, I take a lot of time and try to really set up both the inventories to be really, really easy to work with, not have to do a lot of switches, and knowing exactly where every single switch is in both inventories, so I don't get confused easily. So for that, I generally like to take my time here, and I'll sip the heart. Well, do the heart on the mage account and then sip the divine on the account. And then after both divines, I'll eat a shark on both accounts, and then also eat an anglish. So they both enter fully divined and at 121 HP. You see here, I also brought a Dins on the mage account, which is really helpful, and light parrot. So basically, with the Nylos, as you'll see, I essentially want to. The whole idea is to play both accounts at the same time and make sure that I lose as few ticks as possible. So one of the strategies that I actually use for that is I will click a crab on one account and I will watch that crab on the other account. So let's say I click a wave 5 mage a crab on the mage account. I will then go to the range account because it needs to click something else as well, and I will watch the 5 crab as I'm clicking something else on the range account to see if the 5 crab dies. And that way I don't actually go back to the mage crab until the 5 crab dies. So you'll see like here, I just leave the mage account attacking the big mage 4 until it died. And then here on the mage, I'm doing one-way melee switches. I should have actually camped. I like to camp the Blood Fury and the melee top, but they're up for camping the mage top. I don't think it's a big difference, but in other runs, maybe I'll fix it here. I like to camp the ancestral legs and the Torva top. I think is best in slot for the one ways. Again, here just chinning and then trying to watch the mage crab that I targeted from the other account. And just trying not to lose ticks. Here, I know that the barrage is coming out, so I switched my Kodai, and then I unfortunately was not able to click back to my uh, blowpipe there on the range account. Here, I do actually like to melee both accounts. I try to scythe the 12, both sides of the room on 12 with both accounts. But there, I was a little late on the ranger, so I think I only scythed one. And then here, I will actually leave these aggros just like you do in normal duos a little bit, but I will kill them at some point. I won't just leave them forever. So there, I clicked the melee with my mage account, and there I killed the range. Now it's just gotta clean up those smalls, clean up the 16s on my ranger. Apparently, there are a lot of people bouncing emotes across the screen. Unfortunately, I don't have these VODs separate from the Twitch VOD, so I'm just commentating over the Twitch VOD. Here, just like in normal duos, I'm sort of just waiting until I can attack all the crabs. And luckily, I do one hit all the 18s, or one hit all the aggros rather. Unfortunately, not able to get the pre-fire on the 20 south, but I do just one hit it with the scythe. And now just going for the Kodai and Chin at the same time, which I do get off. Here on the mage account, I am going to try to get a big Dins off. And there I do get a pretty good Dins. It gets both melee, the small melee and the big melee. Now I am in full melee gear barraging, so I do need to switch back to my mage gear. So let's see if I try to do that. No, I'm just barraging in full Torva. That is very bad, of course. But I need to kill the aggros luckily I one hit the aggro with Voltorba on again. I really should switch to my mage gear. Um, I think at this point I just haven't noticed that my mage gear isn't on. So I am actually getting really lucky to hit all these crabs. So I think that's something to learn for the future. I should have just left all my half switches on when I dinsed. I shouldn't have done any switches for that dins because I'm not going to be able to have the brain power to switch back. I should just keep to those one-way switches. Here I'm just cleaning up all the aggros. And again, I just one hit them in full Torva, so that's very lucky. One hitting the big mage in full Torva. Maybe Torva is just better. Maybe Torva's just better. Everyone should mage in Torva apparently, according to this mod. So that's definitely very lucky. But basically, if you are able to not lose very many ticks and you barrage the pillars a little bit, and you get a little lucky with the splits, if all the splits go to one pillar, you're kind of just screwed. That pillar will fall. You get a little lucky with the splits where they spread out and go to different pillars. Usually, you can actually get 0 pillars down, and then for this Nylo King, I think I was honestly pretty bad at it at the time here. This was my PB because of the way I played in other rooms. But basically, in this Nylo King, you want to try to pre-switch your prayers. Okay, I do it a little bit. You want to pre-switch both accounts, and then always pre-switch back to melee. And then for the mage, you just want to focus on getting on both your prayers on both accounts. You're not really trying to DPS on the mage phases. You really want to focus on, as much as you can, trying to get all 4 sites when it is the melee phase. Unfortunately here, okay, so yeah. So I am able to get all 4 sites this melee phase, which is really good. And you can see me pre-switching both prayers. So you pre-switch both prayers, and then you react to the weapon. And again, if it's mage, you always pre-switch melee. Try to keep your prayer up. Fortunately, my prayer did drop there, but I was able to get the mage prayer on. You really want to make sure you do get when it goes, because if it goes range, it goes range after a mage. It's actually really annoying. But if it goes range in melee, then you're always pre-switching the prayers. So it's really only when it goes mage that you need to get your prayers on ASAP. Because if you do miss a prayer flick, there is just a chance that you get splattered a 70, and that usually just kills an account. You can't really recover from a 70, even if it doesn't kill you right there, because you might miss some other range. Luckily, very, very luckily here, didn't die there because I was missing prayer flick, and then missed even the mage flick there. This is pretty bad gameplay all around, but it is pretty hard too. You can see that one account that took that off prey mage is just in the bin. If this fight continues for too long, that mage account, I'm just not going to have enough time to brew. And it's not really worth to brew in this early room to save this account. So maybe I get lucky in Blood Fury heal, but haven't Blood Fury healed at all. And yeah, you just want to focus on trying to get 4 sites if at all possible. And camping that Blood Fury is probably better because that has some range bonus as well. But I do have Rancor on the range account right now. And kind of didn't really put my Sang in the best spot. Luckily it goes melee here, and it should die right here. Oh, I did actually mage it. I misclicked my scythe on, but luckily I splashed, and it does in fact die here. Nope, one more phase. So yeah, I could have easily saved like 15 seconds if I just hadn't Sang healed there. And yeah, but Nylo's complete with both accounts alive is definitely a big achievement, and that is somewhat of a struggle for me. Oftentimes, one account will die right on cleanup as a pillar falls, or one account will die on the boss. And once I'm done in one account, I usually do get the clear. It is unfortunate that on the right, the overlay is a little bugged, but I just noticed that, so it makes sense why I didn't see it during the stream. Here in Sotetseg, as you'll see when I get to the mazes, I have a pretty unique way of running the maze. It's not at all the way you do it in a normal duo. It would be interesting to try to run it like this in a normal duo. If what you could do is you could see your teammate's screen without playing their screen, with just having their screen shared to you on Discord. But for the non-maze part, I just spray melee, tank the bombs, I don't have Venge on either account because I just camp Arceus and Ancients and try to keep my Thrall up and get my prayer up on both accounts. And later on, I might camp Mage Pray, but and even Flinch. I do try to keep it just a prayer only room, not wasting brews, but it is somewhat straightforward. Sometimes you get a scenario where you have to pray mage on both accounts at the same time, but most of the time you're actually just praying on one account. You can see here as I get chosen, on the chosen account, I just run to the middle, and then on the non-chosen account, I actually just look over to my chosen screen. So I don't actually like show them the maze you would actually the way you do it normally. I just because I can see the account right there next to me, I just sort of I use those reference tiles on the ground basically as if it was a solo, as if I had taken a screenshot. But it's not a solo. I haven't taken a screenshot. It's just a dolo. Instead of a screenshot, I have access to the actual account chosen. Here I switch back to Ultor at 30%, but because I run the mazes so slow, I probably could bring enough supplies where I could actually skip the mazes, and I wouldn't be doing that at all with the maze solving. But because I run the mazes, and it is a little bit slower, it's not that much slower, but it's definitely a little bit slower, and definitely a lot slower than skipping. I usually do switch my Ultor back at 30 instead of 50, but because you can see here, like yeah, the rings at 40, but by the time I'm like a few hits into P3, I'll have regen to that 50% spec because this maze takes so long to solve. But I probably could have kept the light bearer on till 50% in this specific case because I am actually getting a pretty fast soak, which is pretty nice. Um, and you can see here, like I was saying earlier, towards the end, sometimes I do start flinching because that account is less than 50 HP, which if you're less than 50 HP and you miss a parry flick, you can die. So sometimes I do just start flinching when that happens. It is above 35 HP though, so I do opt to tank the ball. Unfortunately, I took a orb at the same time, or actually a melee at the same time with the other account. I should have flinched on both accounts. So I do die right there. If I hadn't died, that probably would have saved about 30 seconds. But you know, I have yet to do a deathless raid. My closest dolo to deathless, I did actually make it both accounts to P3 tornadoes, but unfortunately, that P3 tornadoes does get me. I have had Verziks, and I think even this attempt where I don't die. Sorry for spoilers, but don't die at all on Verzik. But it is very hard to survive once the tornadoes come out, and then the second set of crabs comes. It's very hard to manage two accounts at once. I was trying in entry mode for a while to like pog tank on the tank account and then run around the other one. It works out that it's actually just easier to try to not pog tank and just do like a zigzag method because it works out to being less clicks per account. Here I'll redistribute the potions a little bit and drop the chins, and then just usually I have plenty because I bring plenty of supplies in. I don't actually need to buy that many, or have enough supplies where I can buy enough supplies to. It works out to. I try to get about 5 restore-ish potions, so usually 2 prayer pots, 3 restores, and then 4 brews per account. We'll see how many points I end up with, and if that's a possibility. But yeah, usually that's what I try to do, and then on Xarpus, I do try to camp Rancor. I may also drop the Sulfur Blades here. Also, I do buy a stamina potion because on P2 it's really nice to have a stamina. Even with the stamina energy changes, it's really nice to be able to just click anywhere on the account. So yeah, so 4 brews and then maybe a few sharks. It is nice to have a few sharks for combo eating. But I gotta trade the heart back, drop the Sulfur Blades. The sharks are better than a T in this scenario because I'm using them for combo eating. So I'll usually opt to drop any leftover T doses that I do have. But the T doses are nice because I do sometimes tick eat bloat, and I did tick eat bloat on both accounts earlier in the VOD. And also if one account dies on Sotetseg, the Ts are really nice for that. With the divines, I have one account on the left which has 3 doses, and then one account on the right which only has 2 dose divine. So I'm going to end up using a reg dose of divine on the account on the right. With these exhumes, the way I do it is I focus on the account that does not have an exhume, is not standing on one. So I'll have the mouse ready to hover on one. And then if it doesn't spawn near that account, I will then move my mouse over to the other account that is on an exhume, and it works out so that I move off of the account that is on an exhume just tick perfect as it ends the exhume it was sending on. So the exhumes actually are not too hard at all, and they're kind of fun actually because you're never just fully AFK. Yeah, actually still, even though I clicked on the account that didn't have an exhume, I still actually got over to the other account fast enough. With the Xarpus, I go for 3 hammer, 1 BGS, and I click on the account with the hammer first, and then I just hope for PID if they end up. Most of the time, I actually ended up losing a tick on the account with the second hammer and the BGS, the account that I click on second. And then yeah, this Xarpus is just a work of art. You need a really high level of accuracy and speed to pull off these clicks. But the idea is that I'm clicking one account. I'm clicking both accounts to step back, and then both accounts to click Xarpus. So I do a little bit of like L with my characters. Here, I do go for the 5 tick, which is a little bit questionable. I am on the same tick with both accounts, but going for the 5 tick is just very questionable because it assumes that I'm going to keep clicking very accurately, and that doesn't always happen. As you can see here, I missed a few ticks, or missed quite a few clicks on one of the accounts. I'm still in the 5 tick cycle, but I've tanked quite a bit of poison, and then here, quite a few misclicks on that account again. And now comes the real problem where I respond to random, or I don't even know if that was a random. Now I go in early in the cycle, and I have to run all the way around here. Try to just get back in 5.3 tick cycle. Luckily though, now because I hit such good specs actually, and I probably had PID on the hammer, not the VGS account, it's actually almost screeched. So that's really nice that it already screeched. I should put Blood Fury on, maybe actually put Rancor back on. But this is actually a very fast Xarpus for Dolo, and for this screech part, I actually do generally just stand in one corner because it is pretty hard to maneuver both accounts. As you can see here, I do actually go for the maneuver, but I am scared to attack on one of the accounts. Redemption goes off as well. I do try to minimize using prayer, but I probably should just use more prayer here and swing with piety. And you can see I do that with both accounts. Well, I put prayer on. Oh, and then I unfortunately kind of lost track of where Xarpus was turning because I kept misclicking and running under her or him. And that caused me to slice myself out on that account, which is quite unfortunate because it was going to be like a 330 Xarpus, probably would have died like here or even sooner, which my PB is 324, so would have been pretty close to that. But it's still a pretty good Xarpus. Sub 4 Xarpus Dolo, you won't see in any other VODs because if you shadow Xarpus on one account, it's essentially half the DPS of even a 5.3 tick scythe, because you could blow pipe with Void, but you have to get lucky and get pretty low defense. T-bow is solid as well, but T-bow is only like 80% of a scythe, just because Torva is so good. These days, scythe has gained so much power creep, whereas T-bow and Shadow just are not that good on Xarpus whatsoever. So, now we're on to the final challenge, Verzik Vitur. And I do, in fact, trade around divines so that I can evenly distribute them. Just like a normal duo, I have 2 doses of divine for both accounts. Actually, not sure quite how I had 1 and 3 there. I have to look back at that, but drop the sharks. Sharks are nice to have, but usually I do have time to pick them up on P2. Make space for the staff here on the mage account. I do actually end up doing 4-3 on the mage, but on the range account, I don't do any saying pre-fire, and I also don't tank any autos. I just go for 2 sights every single auto. I do need to make sure I put light bear on the range account. Let's see if I do that here, because I am definitely gonna forget otherwise. Um, so I may actually forget. Let's see. Remember, the light bear. Maybe I remember to put it on after it starts, but okay. So I do 2 specs here. Okay, yeah, the light bear is not on. I don't think the light bear is gonna go on the range account, so that's pretty bad mistake. But maybe I'll remember at 40% spec or something. Heart on the mage account. The range account luckily didn't die as Xarp, so it's still potted from Xarp, but I'm not gonna repot until P2. See if I put the light bear on here, or if I entirely forget. Looking pretty bad, but as you can see, like I was saying, I do 4-3 on the mage account. I think I'm praying augury. Again, I have plenty of prayers, so I usually just camp pray mage, camp piety, camp augury. But yeah, the light bear not being on is pretty tragic. Looks like I entirely forgot. Maybe I put on here when the other account gets 35? Yeah, surely when the other account's gonna get 35 here, it's gonna spec and drop it. And then I'm gonna notice, oh shit, I was supposed to have light bear on. Yeah, I would have actually died around here if I had 2 more specs, which I would have with the light bear on. I think at this point, I'm looking and I'm like seeing, interesting that I dropped the pillar behind, okay, I see the light bear now. Dropped the staff behind the pillar. Sometimes I'll drop it behind the pillar, sometimes I'll drop it at the throne. It's kind of just how I'm feeling. Feeling like a pillar day today, so is what it is. Yeah, the P1 definitely would have been like 30 seconds faster if I had Camp Light Bear, but it is what it is. It does still die here, and you want to lock in and focus on P2. Before P2, I try to divine, try to make sure I have the Blood Fury on, because I'm gonna get bounced on P2. Maybe not actually. Actually, okay, I didn't. Okay, I do actually camp the rank on at the start. I used to rotate the camera so that I could mirror the clicks on both accounts, but I switched doing that. This is a pretty nice trick when the purple is spawned 2 tiles away. I can actually sort of pretend that I'm scything Verzik, and she pulls me. I still haven't potted on the range account. I'm sort of just focused on not getting bounced here at all. So that's why I haven't potted. I tried to click the pot like 3 times, but I misclicked. And so you can see how the accuracy really comes into a big deal. Now I tanked a range hit because I clicked slow. And so now I'm going to eat the shark and camp the Blood Fury because you really do want to keep your HP just as high as possible, because what feels like the slightest misclick can end up you running under the boss. And it is a big misclick in the grand scheme of things. It's not a slight misclick. It's just it feels like a slight one because you have to have, like, you have to click so fast. So like there, I ran under the boss, but I was able to run back out fast enough. You have to click so fast, like I was saying earlier at the beginning of the video. It's as if you have only 0.3 ticks per tick. And then there, both accounts were actually next to the boss, so I wasn't too worried. Unfortunately, oh, luckily I was able to dodge the lane. I thought I get zapped there for a second. Um, Here now on the right account, you can see I'm a little low HP from getting bounced, so I want to just eat back up to full. I'm not too worried about hitting every single attack on 118 stats, because it's more important just to stay alive and keep both accounts 5.3ing and not losing ticks. Also, popping, I do opt to just eat the crabs as much as I can. Again, both accounts here need to pray mage. Luckily, it targeted the account that unfortunately almost got bounced. Okay, almost. So I got chance to be bounced in 80 there on the range account, but luckily it didn't. But it is a huge benefit to actually, unfortunately, there healed the boss twice on both accounts. That's very bad. But it is a huge benefit to actually kill the purples and be able to dodge the crabs, even if you lose ticks dodging the crabs. Killing the purple does like 70, 80 damage to the boss, so that's pretty huge when she has such high defense. That's like basically 2 or 2.5 sites worth of damage. And yeah, unfortunately here, because I'm getting bounced, or because I'm taking the cabbages and also um, just not or losing ticks, I guess. Um, I did actually. She went up to 36 that phase, but you can't win them all. And yeah, so at this point, I just sort of I dumped my claw specs on the other count on the crab. Though it's not best DPS to dump the claw specs on the crab, I kind of don't want to just be sitting on 100. Unfortunately, misclick Verzik there. It was really tragic. I don't want to be sitting at 100, and it is just easier to dump the claw specs while she's healing, and I don't have to worry about dodging her attacks. So that's why I do just dump the claw specs. As I get better, I may be able to keep the claw specs and go for the skip with 4 claws, 2 on each account, but that's something I probably should work on. And yeah, the goal long term will be still to try and get a sub 26 GM time while playing both accounts, but it's definitely still a work in progress. A lot of things I could do a lot of things I could do better. Even just like on Nylo's noticing that I was in full Torva. It's really lucky there that I was still one-hitting all the crabs. And like here, claw-specking the crab just because it's easier to do, even though I end up going for the skip anyways. That's interesting decision that I go for the skip even though I claw-spec the crab. I guess it's just sort of insurance in case I don't get the skip. She's not going to heal that much. But I was trying to death charge on the range account. Fortunately, didn't get that off as much as I'd like. I guess I'm still going to go for the skip here. 4% should be able to get the skip even with just sights. I'm not waiting for any fancy attack and then immediately step back because not only is that very hard to pull off click-wise, very click intensive. There you go. I'm trying to get the shark on the account that has less HP and also less supplies. So that was pretty good gameplay there. But honestly, 638 into P3, not the best I've had, but I've had only like I've had like 530. But 638 is not too bad either. Again, if you look at other dolo VODs out there, they sometimes end up getting like Verziks that are like 11 minutes, even when they both do live on P3. Chance melee could have taken both 60s on both accounts and died there. This part, webs, is one of my favorite parts. I've practiced this quite extensively in entry mode, and being able to run webs on both accounts is just sort of epic, if you ask me. It speaks for itself. And it's kind of cool to be able to see both accounts' true tiles because when you're in a normal duo or team, you can't. There's no plugin that shows your teammates' true tiles, so it's kind of cool to just see them both line up, even though like I might make a slightly different movement on one account, might step out a little bit, but true tile wise, they're still on the exact same tile, even though visually they might not be. Again, rotating the cameras so that they're both in the same configuration. Trying to make sure I get as much prayer flicks off as possible. Dumping claw specs. I don't bring chalets. That's probably something I could work on. Again, here you're just trying to eat to full, just like normal duo, but on both counts. There, I think I'm at a chance to melee, actually. I'm not sure. But I need to make sure I restore up. On the one account, I actually was almost out of prayer. So good that I did that. And then this is the really hard part. When the tornadoes come, it's just sort of all hell breaks loose. You want to keep clicking the boss on both accounts. You want to dodge melees, but it's very hard. One account, of course, tanks the green ball. And the other account gets meleeed, luckily still 0. And the other account, because I was clicking on one account, it got healed. So that's the real big issue, is when you start healing on the accounts. Again, tanked melee. Very lucky this attempt. But I am able to keep both accounts alive until she's 10%. But unfortunately here I'm not able to pop the crab properly. I'm really just struggling. And then it goes to webs and maybe okay, I think I just click slow on one of the accounts or something. I'm not sure where I no, I actually lived on both accounts because I think I kill it here in webs. I can actually catch up. As you can see, I fell behind on one account. One account is actually claw scratching because I didn't even notice that till now. But I actually live on both accounts throughout Verzik, even though it's 1 HP. So it's nice that it dies in the second webs and doesn't go any further. But that is my current dolo PB. And unfortunately, I do get a purple actually, so maybe I get rewarded. But no, I think I ended up getting an Avernic or something. I'm going to end the video here with just a few thoughts. I do think that sub 26 is very much possible. I also, it is, a little bit unmotivating that, I'm basically the only person doing this content. There's not really much competition whatsoever. So maybe I can get some competition in there. It also is hard to find competition because anyone who isn't a streamer, anyone who doesn't record at all, like it's completely impossible to prove that you've done a dolo. Even just this screenshot could, so easily get faked by just like logging into your. You could log into your friend's account or just Photoshop so easily. I think if there is any sort of dolo world record tracking, this is as far this is like sort of the screenshot format that we should adopt, where you can see both screens side by side. And as far as proof of gameplay, you're gonna have to be able to see one mouse throughout the entire gameplay. I have heard of different methods with like alt tabbing and different stuff like that, which definitely would be cool to see people try. But me personally, I haven't tried alt tabbing, but makes more sense in my brain the way I've done it so far. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more, but probably not doing any more in the near future. I hope you guys have a great day, and please like, subscribe, drop a comment. Have a good night. Peace.